Everyone, you are watching Rob's MetalWorks, and we are getting deep already into our summer schedule. It brings me great pleasure to welcome a couple of guitarists here to the Rob's MetalWorks studio that I'm so happy to have because I've been jamming their brand new record for quite some time, and it's coming to you next. Yes, we're going to unleash the Devil's Masquerade. Brings me great pleasure to welcome the guitarist for Hellstar, Mr. Alan Deleon Jr., and the mastermind, the legend, my bro, Mr. Larry Barragán. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having us, Rob.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's so beautiful. It's a beautiful thing how this kind of came to be because, you know, I've been jamming the Devil's Masquerade for a little bit. Thank you, Larry. And, I just get so excited because I love this record. And I want to share with the people, I think a couple of nights ago, I said, Larry, we were jamming the Devil's Masquerade in my kitchen. And I said, Larry, I texted Larry. I said, man, we got to set up an interview date. I'm already booked all the way till September. And Larry says, well, I'm going to be there in a couple of days. Let's do it. So here we are. Here we are. And it's great that Alan is here too because I think that it's a great time to introduce him to all the Hellstar family out there that have been following the band for a long, long time. And Alan, I'm definitely going to give you the opportunity to share about your history as we go through this interview. So, we're going to start off talking about the new record. And I remember the last time I saw you guys was in December at the Paper Tiger, right? The last show of 2024. And you guys debuted Seek Out Your Sins, which is one of the new songs. Was the new record already done at that time?
Yeah, it was done.
It was done.
It was in the can already, yeah.
Yeah.
It was mixed and everything.
Yeah.
So we did that one tune, and then when we played Hell's Heroes, we did 4 tunes.
Oh, wow.
Four tunes.
I saw some of that footage, and I know you guys did the title track.
Yeah.
At the Hell's Heroes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Larry, I've known you for a long time, and we're good friends, and I know, because of where you are at your tenure, you kind of do a lot of your own engineering and stuff like that. So you did everything for the Devil's Masquerade?
Everything but master. I didn't master it.
Yeah,
I engineered it, produced it, and, recorded it as well. So,
yeah.
It's quite an undertaking, because when you own the studio, the band not takes it for granted, but they're like, well, I can't make it today.
Right.
I'll be there in a couple of days, or so everything gets extended. Whereas if we were actually on the clock
and paying,
it'd be like, no, you're gonna be there, and so that's where it gets a little tough because obviously James and I are longtime friends as well, so it's like, oh, okay, I'll see you next weekend then, whatever. So to keep things in schedule is a little tough when it's like that, because you can, and then it just like in the like the other albums when we did I think when we did Clad in Black, it was the same thing. It was like, oh man, God, we got to turn this in already. Like, well, you need to finish, So this one was no different. Where it's like, come on, we got to get this done, and we had a lineup change in the middle of the recording session. There were songs that were written by Andrew that were like, obviously they're Andrew's songs. We respect them, and we're not gonna
sure,
we're not gonna take them and go like, well, you were in the band, when you wrote these, and so it was one of those things where you're like, all right, how many songs do we have? How many have I written? And so it turned out we still had enough to do an album, and I think there was like one additional song that came on there at the end, which was the instrumental. But everything else, I think, was kind of done.
Is it getting easier for you now that you've been doing it longer?
Easier in what sense? You mean the recording?
The engineering and everything.
Every time I record something, you learn something, and it gets better. I don't know if it gets easier, but it does. You understand the flow better, and that I do. I do understand, like, hey, there's, how to get the performance out, how to, actually, the technical part is. I mean, I've already been doing it for a few years now, so that's
I can fix that.
Yeah, I know I can do that. Well, it gotten to the point where now I can go like, oh man, I kind of want him to sing it like this a little bit, and maybe you turn to go and take the vocal and like nudge it over, like, oh, that's where I wanted it, So things like that, but it's still very fun and it's still challenging, and I think that's the one thing that you actually need to do this, is that you still want to be challenged and you want it to be fun. Right. I don't want to, be back there like, man, here we are, or whatever, I mean, the stress of doing it, the editing and all that other stuff, it's at the end of the day, it's so rewarding once you you listen to it, it's all like from beginning to end, you're like, I did it, man, that's cool. And that's really where I'm at, with the whole part of producing and engineering and stuff like that.
I would think because you're doing it yourself that you probably even work longer hours too.
Oh, definitely.
Because you're like, if you're up in the middle of the night or early in the morning, like, I'm going to go into my studio and work. Yeah.
It happens quite often, And then, even during the writing process, I mean, I'll wake up. I may wake up and have an idea or something. Yeah. And then, so I just get up, and it could be 5 a.m. and I get up and I go to the studio, I grab my guitar and I'm like, okay, this is what I kind of heard in my head. And then I, record like a little scratch track of it or whatever. Right. Sometimes just on my phone if I have to, but my wife has gotten to the point where she's like, no, he's in the studio.
He better have made some coffee.
Yeah.
I also remember, too, about the December show. And Julie and I were there. And I was especially excited because, Alan, correct me if I'm wrong, was that your first show in San Antonio with Hellstar, right?
That was my very first show, period.
I remember that. And I remember I wanted to see you play. I said, oh, man, I got to... Because I had heard the record. I said, oh, man, this kid's like... fucking on fire. And Alan, don't get upset if I call you kid or anything like that.
Oh, of course not,
because
man. I'm used to it.
You are a young man. And I remember, and I'm going to be candid, I remember when Larry had told me about the transitioning happening in the other guitar spot, and I had told Larry, oh, check this dude out. You got to check this dude out. They would be great in Hellstar. And then like a couple of weeks later, he said, we got somebody. And I'm like, oh, who? And he says, this friend of mine's son, Alan Deleon. And I said, what's his name? He goes, Alan Deleon Jr. I said, oh, okay. I said, I've never heard of him before. He goes, oh, no, he's from Houston. And I said, well, what has he done? I said, well, he's a young cat, blah, blah. And I said, well, how young? And I think you told me, how old are you? I mean, if you don't remember.
At the time, I was 23.
Oh, my God. And now you're 24.
Yes, sir.
Wow. And I remember, and this is the candid part, I told Larry, I said, Larry, are you sure you want somebody that young in the band with you guys? I said, I'm sure this kid can play, but what about the back end chemistry and stuff? You guys are, old enough, old enough to be his dad. I said, I'm old enough to be his dad. I said, how is that going to work out? And I remember Larry saying, oh, man, you got to meet him. He's a good person, and he jives with us well. He knows the band. He loves the band. I said, I think it's going to be a great fit. And then when I saw you play, I was like, oh, yeah. There was great live chemistry. I could see it. And to me, standing as a fan, I was like, yeah, this guy's bringing in some new energy on this side of the stage, and it's resonating well. So Alan, my first question to you is like, how familiar were you kind of with Hellstar?
Very familiar.
Yeah.
I grew up on those first 4 albums.
Oh,
so
man.
like, I mean, when I was a teenager, I learned how to play pretty much everything from those first 4 records. Yeah.
Wow. And some of those first few records are pretty technical.
Yeah,
as far as like lead playing.
Yeah, I mean, my whole background is very much in the Shrapnel Records thing and
Yeah.
a lot of the early progressive metal, and so it's all in my wheelhouse. I mean, this is my Mark Wahlberg moment, like in Rockstar. You know,
Yeah.
I grew up with these posters on my wall and shit, and it's very cool.
And so, what was the audition like?
That was
Did
funny.
you have to audition?
Not exactly. You kind of. So like, I forgot how I got the news about Andrew's departure from the group, and James had called me and we were talking about it, and I casually mentioned like, "Hey man, by the way, I know how to play those first 4 records if y'all need somebody." And James was like, "All right, learn these songs." Click, and I was like, "Fuck."
Wow.
I was like, "Oh man." So I learned like the hits, you know, like King is Dead, Baptized, Burning Star, like stuff like that, you know. And
Baptized is a hard song, right?
It's okay.
I mean, I remember the songs from that record are pretty challenging songs. I mean, they're technical.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And so Larry, when he went in and auditioned, kind of what were you specifically looking for?
Well, I had seen, video and I already knew Senior's badass too. You know,
Oh,
so
really?
He's playing in Santa Oscuridad tonight with us. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, he's no slouch. He's really good. And
Right.
and I'd seen a video of Alan playing as well, and I was
Yeah.
like, man, I know he can play,
Right.
and I know he could play Baptized in Blood and all those songs. But the audition was more like, okay, I'm gonna send you 3 new songs, four new songs.
Send me 3, and we listened to another one.
Right. So it was. I sent him 3 new songs, and I said,
From the Devil's Masquerade.
yeah, and I said, this is where you're gonna solo, and on this song, this is where you solo, and on this song, this is where you solo. And so he came over. I cooked some food. We chilled out and talked and stuff. And that was part of the interview process was even more important to me than the actual playing, probably, because again, you're like, man, he's much younger than we are, but he's very mature, very old soul kind of guy, So after we ate and talked and stuff, like, oh shit, man, we've been talking for a while. Let's go in the studio and let's lay some solos down. And the first one you did was
it was
I'm the Way?
It was I'm the Way, yeah.
I'm the Way. And I go, thank you, sir. I said, hey, which one you want to do? He's like, all right, let's do I'm the Way. I was like, all right, cool. Pull it up.
So that was the first time you'd heard his solo?
Yeah. And so he goes, all right. I hit record, and he's behind me.
Right.
And he lets this solo rip, and I was like, oh my God.
Perfect.
I hope he has a fucking passport. Like immediately I was like, oh shit. And then I turn around and I go, that was okay. You want to do it again? And he said, yeah, I can do a little bit better.
That's all
and
right,
then he ripped another one pretty close to what he had done to begin with. It was written out, so you could tell.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh man, that's really good.
Yeah.
And I said, let's move on. Let's go to the next one. Let's see what you got.
Did you record it? You recorded it?
But yeah, of course, man.
Yeah.
The solos that he did that day are on the album.
Wow.
Wow. So he did the other ones again, stellar performance and jaw dropping really.
Yeah.
And so I said, here's another one, and just in passing I go, you'd solo here, and it gets to the end of the song, and he goes, well, let's try one. And you want to try it? Like just
right now?
Right now? And he's like, yeah, let's go. I think I got something. And he just ripped through it. Didn't ask me the key. Didn't ask me the tempo. Just like, I got something. And, you know, it was a really good solo. And then he was like, I think, you know, we can, you know, there was a couple little parts that he wanted to do, which is more than understandable because he didn't sit down and listen and go like, oh, I'm going to write it like this. It was an improv kind of solo. So, okay, then he kind of like built it. And I believe that one's the same one. Yeah. You know, that one's on the album as well. So, I mean, it was impressive. That's all I can say. And you know, I'm sure there's a lot of guitar players out there that are badass. But, you know, we have ever since that day, I feel like, you know, we have a really good connection. We're friends, you know. We're texting each other. Check this out, man. Oh, my God, look at this, you know. And so, oh, dude, that's so sick. It's always those. That's usually what we say a lot, you know. Oh, man, that's sick. And so, we've become like these really, really good, you know, guitar buddies and on a personal, you know, friends where we can, you know, have people come over and you know, he's in that mix with us and stuff. So, it's been a journey again, you know. But it's like you said, there's really good energy in the band. I think everybody's in a really good place again. And we're excited, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so important. Like you just said, there's a lot of great players, but I think it's so important that, you know, you have someone who not only understands but cherishes the legacy of a band like Hellstar, you know, and knows it and grew up with it. And there's a certain level of admiration and respect that comes along with that, you know. And I'm sure that plays a lot into it, you know.
I guess, you know, the admiration, respect, man. You know, you don't realize when you're doing it that you've done it so long, you know, and that there is that part of it as well. But I think, you know, I don't think he came in starstruck. I mean, he's known us for a long time. You know? So that's the other thing. You know, I've known Alan since he was 16, I think.
I was like
14. You know, he was a young boy, you know, so I've known him since that time. And so, you know, it's still, that's a very young child.
Sure.
You know? But, you know, once they grow up, you know, when your kids are grown, you're like, oh my God, this guy's 30. You know, you kind of go back like, what? He's 20? What? Oh, shoot, man. Yeah, he's a young man, you know. He's not that young kid anymore, you know. And in that sense, there's a mutual respect. You know? And I always told James, like, man, you know, I didn't like it when he did it because when Garrett came in, he was very young as well, and he would go, oh, the kid, and I would be like, man, don't, you know, I don't do that, man. You know, he's in this band for a reason. He's a peer, you know. And so, you know, James is kind of old school, so it was hard for him. So this time I told him the same thing, like, please, man, you know, like, please don't do that, you know. And so James like, oh, okay, man, I don't mean anything bad by it. I know you don't, but, you know, how would you like being just like, hey, old man, hey, come here. You know, the new guy, hey, man, you know.
I always think about
the old Vampiro, you know. I mean, you wouldn't like it, you know. So, and when I put it to him that way, it's like, yeah, I understand.
I always think about, if you remember the first Men in Black, when they get Will Smith into the Men in Black, and he goes, all right, I'm in, but I don't want anybody calling me kid or sport or nothing like that because you recognize the skills. And then as soon as he gets in, the old man calls him kid or something. He just makes faces. But yeah, I get it, man. So, Alan, what have you enjoyed most so far about being in the band?
I mean, honestly, more so the camaraderie, man.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, growing up, I was a little bit closer to James, so this was a really cool opportunity to get to know Larry and stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, like he was saying, I think we ended up chatting for like 3 or 4 hours before we even touched the guitar. And you know, we went to do a NAMM trip together. That was super fun.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was really cool.
Oh, wow.
He'd never been, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
He said, hey, man, you think you can get me into NAMM? I was like, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that's where you guys got connected with Dean. We're gonna talk about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean more so just the friendship and familial aspect of it, I mean, and of course, I mean, I've been a musician since I was like, super small.
Yeah.
So it's like I mean, I think I've been doing this for like 14 years now. And so it's like finally that the years of hard work is like, leading to something very cool,
Sure, I think that's great. What I have to ask you, because I was thinking about this today, and I know you know how dexterous you are in your playing, but is there a Hellstar song that you think to yourself like this is the hardest song to play, or no?
I mean, my all-time favorite one is "To Sleep Perchance to Scream," and I remember learning the songs like for that first gig. That was the only one I had some trouble with on some parts, and I remember like I ended up like taking the 30 Years of Hell album and using like a stem splitter so I could hear the guitars better.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there at like 4 a.m. with one headphone on trying to learn this. And so it was probably that one, the bridge section in particular kind of was like, oh man. But no, I mean, my playing style is very similar to Larry's,
yeah.
So it's like, it's not too crazy,
Larry, when I hear the record, I know your style and tone already, so I can hear like when you solo, and then correct me if I'm wrong, is it on several of the songs like you'll solo, and then right after you solo, Alan solos?
Yeah, vice versa.
Or vice versa.
First. He'll solo first, and I.
Right? Is that the way it's? Is that kind of like the song structure that you kind of like? Where like the solos go back to back.
I like that, but I mean, there are some songs where the solos are split apart. I mean, it just happens. When I write, I don't have like a template where like it's gonna go like this.
Yeah. It's
just I get to this part and I go like, oh, that sounds like a cool rhythm to solo over. And so as I continue to write, I don't have lyrics in mind, or I don't know where the vocals are gonna go. But I'll get to a part and then I go, all right, I think this one I want to split. Mm-hmm. So then I know like, well, maybe he'll do the first one and I'll do the second one, or, vice versa.
Yeah.
If I have something where I think it's a cool ending that transitions into the next part, then, I'll take the second one. Or if I don't have anything, then I'll just record one and then I'll just move it wherever it needs to go,
Yeah. The last full-length record, Vampiro, was such an amazing record. I remember we interviewed for that record, and I think that was the last time, as much as you and I stayed connected, that was the last time that I've had you on the show and that I've interviewed you, and that was in 2016.
Yeah, that's a long time
9 years ago.
For that record.
For that record.
But we did an interview for Santa Oscuridad, the opening show.
Yeah.
But that's still like 6 years ago.
Yeah, but that was like the last Hellstar interview. And like I said, there was a lot of people who loved that record. And if you met a fan today and he said, Larry, tell me about this new record. How would you compare it or differentiate it between what you did on Vampiro? Is it like style-wise?
I think, for me, it's never about like topping yourself. I don't want to top myself. That's just something that seems very foreign. Mm-hmm. My thing is that I want to do something different from what I did before. Mm-hmm. And so when, sometimes fans are like, I want to hear Nosferatu,
Right.
And I'm like, well, I don't, I don't want to hear that.
Right.
I've already did it. I want to do something different. You can't, I don't want to be put in this box where like, that's what you're going to do every time. We just want you to do this. And as much to everyone's chagrin, I don't, I even James is like, hey man, can we, I'm like, if it comes out, let's. But I'm not gonna try to write that. And with the new album, after it was all recorded, and I listened to it, and then people listened to it. I think it's a very good heavy metal album. That just straight up heavy metal. You know, it's almost like, I think the last Judas Priest album is a really good heavy metal album. I can't say like, oh, it's better than Stained Class or something like that. It's really good, you know. And the performances are really good. The solos are outstanding. You know, Richie Faulkner is like a beast. So I look at this album in that manner as well. As I think it stands on its own. It sounds like its own album, you know, and
For sure.
every album is a snapshot in time. It's where we were at that time, you know, and I think that's really how it should be, you know. Is that, you know, whatever art you're creating should be that snapshot, you know. And then once it's done, it's like, okay, now next album, let's see, where are we going to go? Where are we going to be at the time? What's happening? Like, James and I are still very, you know, horror genre lyrically. But, I mean, you know, if you go back and you listen to This Wickedness, was very political. I mean, people don't really realize how political some of those songs are, you know, but that's where we were, watching the news a lot. And you know, so we wrote a lot of those lyrics, you know, that reflected that, you know. And this album, it's a lot of devil shit, you know. It's like we were watching, you know, we watched the Exorcist movies. Then there was the Pope's Exorcism and all that stuff.
Russell Crowe.
We watched that, and actually Seek Out Your Sins is kind of based on that, off that movie,
wow.
You know. So and then there's, you know, there's a song about the Twilight Zone. That's Staff of Truth. The Staff of Truth. That was from the Twilight Zone. I don't know if you remember this one. I mean, you should. You're old enough to. But it was called The Howling Man, and they had trapped the devil and put him in this cell. And this guy gets lost in the middle of the night, and he comes across his house, and he goes inside, and they're like, "Hey man, you wait here. You can't move out of here." And he keeps hearing this howling like a wolf, and he's like, "What was that?" And they're like, "The wind." You know, it's like really, it was kind of funny in a way. But then basically, this guy stumbles upon this house, and he goes in, and he sees this guy locked up in his cell, and that guy's like, "Come on, get me out of here. These guys are crazy." So he goes, "Well, how do I get, you know, what do I got to do? Maybe I should just call the cops." And he's like, "No, don't call the cops. You just take that stick off." And there was a stick across the door. And he was like, "Why don't you just do it?" He goes, "Man, just argue with me. Just take that stick off." So he pulls the stick off, and the door opens, and it's the devil. It's Satan, you know. And then so the whole crux of the story is that he released the devil. Right. And so, I mean, there's a lot of that going on on the album. But, I mean, again, it's just like what James and I have watched, you know, as movie fans and horror fans and stuff like that, you know. It just so happened that this album has a lot of that, you know. But I think there's, like, no, they're pretty much all pretty horror genre related, you know.
Everything but the instrumental.
Yeah, the instrumentals.
Yeah. It kind of seems that way in our world today. Yeah, I'm already building my underground bunker in the backyard. Stockpiling rice and beans for when the world goes to hell. That's all you need. No shit, right? And believe it or not, I even went and got me another pistola. So that way I have one and Julie has one in case anybody tries to steal our beans. We'll fucking shoot them. Yeah, it's a crazy time. And so the devil's masquerade, I guess, meaning kind of like the devil's right there in front of you and you might not even know it. He's right there next to you.
He's hidden in full view.
Hidden in full view.
Yeah.
And really quick before we move on, I have to compliment the artwork. I love the artwork on this record.
Yeah.
Who did that?
It was, oh my God.
I forgot his last name.
What's his name?
Kai?
Kai.
He did
Yeah.
Vampiro.
He also did Vampiro as well. Yeah. So.
Is he a artist from the area or?
No, he's he's European.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that fucking artwork. I remember when I saw it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is killer.
Yeah, you see shirts, they look really great.
Oh, okay. I want one. As we move on, the first single, "Seek Out Your Sins," is already officially out.
Yeah.
It came out back in March, right? So all you people out there who want to hear the brand new Hellstar, the single is out. Be sure to pick it up at all your music media outlets and jam it. What's the reception been like so far?
It's been good. I mean, yeah, I've shown it to some of my friends in Europe and stuff, and they're like, "Oh man, this is, again, like this is really good metal,"
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm excited for everybody to hear the rest of it,
Right.
But I mean, you've heard the whole thing,
Sure.
and so, like I said, I think it's a really, really solid album, beginning to end. I don't think we dropped off anywhere.
Nope.
I mean, I mean that can happen, where you're just like
Starts off strong and then it goes that.
Especially in the position that we're in, where all of a sudden, like, oh, what? Now we got to do these other songs.
Right.
We got to write these other songs.
Right.
But no, they came out really, really good. I think the performances are really great. I think James did a really phenomenal job on his vocals, and the lyrics are fun. I think the lyrics are fun, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to ask real quick. Did Alan do any rhythms? Did you do any rhythms too, or no?
No.
Not for this one.
Yeah. Okay.
He came like after the fact.
Okay. So that was already kind of already done.
Everything was already in the can except for like I said, like, hey, you're gonna
solo here. Yeah, and
but I mean, I'm super excited for the next
one,
the next project.
And of course, as he gets further acclimated into the band, I mean, I'm sure he's going to be able to contribute more. And
right,
stuff
he's already
like
got like a couple of riffs that I'm
yeah,
like, oh
great.
man, that's gonna be killer.
Wow. So you guys are already one step ahead.
Trying.
Right. It's always kind of weird because, you guys, and when I say you guys, I mean like musicians. You're like, oh man, I've been working on these songs for a fucking year already. I'm kind of ready to move on, and yet some of the record's not even out to the public yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be careful. Just don't cannibalize your own efforts. Will there be an official a second single release?
I believe the next single is gonna be "I Am the Way."
Oh wow! I'm going to talk about that song next. And if you had said no, I was going to tell you which song I thought should be the second single.
What song did you think?
I would have picked "Stygian Miracles." I love that song.
Yeah, that's one of the ones we'd play live.
I love that song. It's a great song. But we're going to talk about "I Am the Way" in a little bit. And you mentioned, we can't go through this interview without talking about James Rivera. You mentioned him right now and how great he's singing on this record. I kind of feel like even at his tenure, he's singing better than ever. He's singing pretty damn good.
He's singing pretty damn good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back and you watch
that,
you're like, oh shit, that was effortlessly, but he's gotten a little bit older, so but we've been married so long that I know how to work with him. I know what he still can do, and what where I can push him, and where I think like, let's rethink that,
Right.
So I mean, that's all part of it. That's what goes into making a great performance is not knowing the limitations, but also knowing like how to push those limitations a little bit.
Sure. And then keeping in mind he has to pull this off live.
Exactly.
Yeah. Standard tuning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
talk about that.
So we're also for all the classic songs, we're going back to E standard. So for like the last, pretty much since they've reformed, they'd tuned all the original ones down to D with the new material.
Right.
But when we were starting to rehearse for the upcoming shows and stuff, I don't even know. I think it's because some of the songs on the new album are in E too.
Yeah.
And so we were like, well, if we're gonna have to do two guitars, let's play the classic songs how they were written. So
why did you originally drop Those songs.
They just sounded heavier.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know, it
wasn't because of James.
No,
okay.
Never. Actually, James has a harder time hearing it low.
Yeah.
He'll do it, you know, but he almost overcompensates, like, whoa, you know, like, James, you know, it's just a whole step. But when I realized it when we recorded on Clad in Black, the song
Black Wings of Solitude?
Yeah, Black Wings of Solitude. It's in standard tuning.
Right.
And he sang it like, I mean, when he sang it, it was so natural for him.
Yeah.
I was like, man, am I doing this guy a disservice by, you know, making him sing these songs a whole step down?
Right.
And so then when we started like recording these new songs, he sang Devil's Masquerade, which is in A440, and I was like, do you notice anything about the song? He's like, nah, it's cool. You know, I was like, yeah, but, you know, are you straining or anything?
Yeah.
No.
He was
like,
good.
Yeah, that's standard tuning, dude. And so we started rehearsing like the old songs again, like in standard tuning, and he's fine, you know. And I said, yeah, that's really his natural.
Right.
That's where where he sings right there,
right.
A440,
right.
And so yeah, I mean that's been fun to be able to like switch guitars and go like, all right, this is standard or whatever, you know. But yeah, that's the one thing about James is that his performances on this album are really good, and we've discovered that like we need to sing. He needs to sing more in that standard tuning than ever before, at least for now, you know.
He kind of will stay stronger in that range.
I think
longer.
so. He just seems he's just acclimated to it.
Sure,
you know?
Sure. We you mentioned the song "I Am the Way," and if I was remiss not to say this earlier, the Devil's Masquerade has 10 songs. Will be out on MASSACRE Records later this year. And the last song, the 10th track, is a song called I Am the Way. And I remember, I can't even remember. It was like in the early fall last year. Yeah, you were here and you brought me roughs and you played this song. You said, Rob, this is a special song. We have like guest vocalists. I was like, all right, like who? And I was expecting, you know, a guest vocalist on it, you know, whoever. But you're like, no, there's like fucking six guest vocalists, or how many are there?
6 or 7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
9.
9 guest vocalists. Holy shit. And I remember when you played that song, I was like, oh yeah, I know that voice. And I remember it was Jason McMaster. But you also have Mike Solis of Militia.
Yep.
I was surprised for you to tell me Rob Lowe from Solitude Eternus was singing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I didn't know if that dude was still around or still singing anymore. I had heard all these crazy rumors, but I was glad to hear that he reared his head on this track. Who is Travis Willis?
So Travis Wills, he's the most recent addition to Crimson Glory. He's their new singer.
Okay.
And I'm actually in another band with him as well.
He lives in Houston, the Houston area?
He lives in Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. I was.
What band do you play?
So we play in another band called Infidel Rising.
Oh,
and that
okay.
one's like a little super group. We got the drummer from Lillian Axe, Wayne, in there too. It's that's coming together pretty nice as well. But
Is that like a progressive metal?
Yeah, like a prog power thing.
Prog power. And then my buddy Christian Larson is on the record. George Call.
George Call from Aska.
Oh, okay, George Call. Is that an Argentinian band or what?
No, they're from Dallas.
Oh,
Yeah.
Aska. Drew Brown.
Drew Brown from Houston. He's in a band called Active. What's the name? Something. Oh shit! I knew you were going to ask me. We'll come back to it.
We'll come back. Jeff Vandenberg.
Jeff Vandenberg plays in. He sings for Love and War.
Okay.
Another Houston band, but they're all. Everybody's done records.
Sure.
So, the thing about this, how it started, is James sang the whole song, and then he came back and said, "You know what would be cool if we could get like the old guard to come and sing."
Right.
Parts. And I'm like, oh, like who? And he's like, man, I mean, if we could get Jason to sing a verse,
yeah,
we get Mike Solis to sing a verse.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, well, I mean, who else? And
so James kind of picked these people.
So he started, but he wanted everyone to be from Texas.
Right.
So all these singers are from Texas.
Right.
And so he said, hey, you know, I'm trying to get Rob Lowe to sing this part, the bridge part, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. You know, maybe if we can pull that off, that would be great. And then, you know, a few weeks later, I get the tracks, and it's Rob, you know, singing, you know, and then George.
So you would send them the master track, and then they would record, and then send it back to you.
Yeah, and then George Call was with Rob Lowe, so he did his part at the same time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and actually Drew Brown and Jeff Vandenberg and Christian Larson and James sang at my studio.
Yeah.
Travis Willis sent me his tracks from Dallas. Chris Salinas from San Antonio.
Yeah.
He Power of Omens.
Yeah.
And he was kind of sick for a lot of the, you know, while we were doing this. And finally it was like, okay, I'm ready. It's like, well, there's only a couple of there's not really much for you to do, but he, you know, so he went through and he just like added these little accent parts.
Yeah.
And actually, they're really cool parts. They're very subtle, you know. And then he sings at the end as well. He does one of the main "I Am the Ways," and so yeah, man. I mean, everybody that is from, I think it's a statement like, hey, man, we got some badass singers here in Texas, you know, and they were still coming in. Like a singer from Bifist was like, hey, you know, is there, you know, what can I do? And by that time, it was like, man, there's...
Ya se acabó, bro.
Yeah, man, I'm sorry, bro. It's like we're done. You know, there was too many. And and we felt bad because, yeah, he was very deserving of a part.
Sure.
You know, as there were other people that came out and said, hey, we'd like to do something. And we hear that you're doing this thing.
Right.
And it was like, well, you'd just be in the big gang vocal. No one's going to, you know, really know. So... there had to be a cutoff point.
Sure,
you know?
Of course.
But you know, that all came together because of James. You know, he had that vision where I was just kind of like, I'm not getting it, but I'll follow you and let's see what happens. And then once I started putting it together and then listening to all these guys do like everybody that sang on that song like went balls out, just good.
Yeah.
Wow. And then I'd get another one like, wow, badass, you know. And George Call, I gotta say, man, I think he steals the show. He screams his balls off, dude. It's so badass, man.
Wow.
At the very end, he's the very last high kind of Rob Halford note, man. It's just so epic, man.
Yeah.
And the song, you know, it's fun. It's kind of thrashy, you know. But I think it's a good song. I think everybody, when they listen to it, usually we had like a little listening party at my house, and everybody walked away like, play that one again, you know. So I know that
very good reception.
Yeah, there was very good reception on that one.
It definitely came out great, man. Definitely came out great. I remember when I heard the rough, I was like, yeah, okay. But and then when I heard the final, it was like, oh yeah, this came out amazing, and and what a great way to end out a stellar record, man. And I was remiss, so all you people out there, go ahead and take a look at the cover work for The Devil's Masquerade. Again, no release date as of yet, but Larry, do you have an inkling of time frame?
It's going to be late July, early August.
I think.
Coming
so pretty damn soon.
Pretty damn soon. Probably before this is released.
Pretty damn soon. So all of you people, I'll find out the release date, and you can check our Facebook, and you'll see me post about it. We're gonna get this interview out hopefully pretty quick. So I'll definitely share the news when it comes out. Out on Massacre Records out of Germany, as I shared earlier. Were those guys always kind of... And if you've worked with that label before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Platinum Black's on that.
Yeah, so that was already kind of like when you said, hey, we're putting a full-length record together, they were already like, okay, well, we're going to be your label.
Well, they were the label.
They were the label. So you're committed to them for a while.
There were some issues with... there were some legal things going on with the label.
Right.
They were getting ready to transition, and there's some financial stuff that was going on. So they're going to be like a part of Nuclear Blast.
Wow.
And another, I forget the other entity, but I think they're getting ready to put that out.
That's kind of like a big deal, a big good deal.
Yeah,
that's a big good deal. Yeah, Nuclear Blast seems like they're fucking taking over. They're taking over there, which is good. They've always been a solid label. Yeah. Well, that's great, man. I can't wait for everybody out there to hear this record. And you quickly mentioned Clad, and I said earlier there was 3 new songs on Clad, and then you had the 3 covers. So were the songs on the Devil's Masquerade kind of written after that time frame, after 21? Those were all kind of new songs.
Well, actually, Devil's the title track, Devil's Masquerade, and is there another one?
Sequel was done pretty early too.
No. Devil's Masquerade was originally written for a movie that got released during COVID, and it just and nothing ever happened with it. So, and I Am the Way. And I sang the lead vocal on I Am the Way in the movie. And so when it came time, I was like, hey, I got these 2 songs that just are good, and we just never did anything with them. And so James was like, yeah, let's listen.
Let's pull them out.
Come on, this needs to be on our album. So I'm like, all right, cool. And then I rewrote the lyrics to Devil's Masquerade. It was called something else. And then I'm the Way. James did a little bit of producing on it and changed some lyrics and added some stuff. So, and then that's how that came out. And then the rest is all new stuff.
Yeah, great. Well, that's cool, man. When I started this interview, you're my friend and have been for a long time.
It's really, I find it difficult to interview with you after being friends for so long. That it's like, I don't know. It's just, when you were doing your intro, I was like, oh man, I want to laugh so bad. It's like, I
was about to say, I call you the mastermind and the legend because, that picture that I just showed you right there, I remember when I first met you, and I think that was in 2004 or 6, around that time frame, and I remember you came up to me and said, I'm Larry Barragán. I said, I know who the fuck you are, dude. So I've been a fan of yours for so long, even when I was a teenager. And, when it's all said and done, sure, I'm going to remember your licks, but I think one of the things that I'm going to remember most about you and your career is just what a wonderful songwriter you are, bro.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah. Every fucking Hellstar record is just magnificent in its own way. And it's like there's no bad Hellstar record. Like I could jam every fucking record from back in the old days to fucking now. It's just all glorious. Sure, they each have their own character, because each one of those is your baby. But, as the mastermind and the guy who writes these licks and these songs, it's like, man, Larry just fucking, I don't know where all this shit's coming from.
It's funny that you say it because Rob Trevino, I'm still very connected with Rob Trevino. And I always send him everything. He's like
really
another set of ears for me.
Yeah.
And I sent him everything when it was all said and done, and he texted me back, and all he said was like, brother, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, fuck yeah, you know.
Yeah. It's a gift, bro. It's a dark gift.
Yeah.
And, you know, it still lives on. I quickly mentioned the guitar deal that you and Alan got with Dean Guitars. How did that happen?
Well,
I remember I saw the fucking announcement, like, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, you know,
And then I saw the picture with the fucking King V and it was a Strat, right, that they gave that you got?
Yeah. So Chris Canella is the rep at Dean. Well, Chris was the rep at Jackson when I signed to Jackson.
Oh, okay.
And then when Chris went to ESP, he's like, "You want to follow me, man? I'm going to ESP." And I was like, "Hell yeah, I'll follow you." You know. So then when he left ESP, he's like, "I'm going to Dean." I was like, "Oh." Well, I was so invested in the ESP thing, so I was like, "Okay." And but Chris and I have been friends, you know, since the Jackson days. And it was for NAMM, and I had contacted a certain individual at ESP, and they didn't call back. And I was like, man, sent another email, and nothing. The third one, nothing. I was like, wow, man, that's kind of screwed up.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, maybe he's not there anymore. So I contact Chris, like, hey, man, you know, is so-and-so still over there at ESP? He's like, yeah, I just talked to him. Like, oh, man.
All right.
And I said, I don't know what's going on. And he said, well, how, you know, what's this for? I said, I'm trying to go to NAMM. And he said, pass this for NAMM. And he said, how many need? I said, 4. Said, hold on. And he emails me back, I got you. And I was like, wow, you're not even my rep. And you did that for me. And so we went. And we said, you know, went back and told Chris, thank you so much, man, you know, for getting us in, and, you know, introduced Alan and my other friends, Maurice Eggenschweiler, who's in a band called Hazrat. And so the next day I was like, man, I want to go back and play all the guitars. So I text Chris in the morning, can we go back and play everything? And he said,
so you could see which one you liked?
Yeah, everything, yeah. And so we went back, and he said, you know, have at it. I mean, like, we were grabbing USA models, like, you know. And
Is
playing
that
them.
their ESP model, like the high-end model?
Well, it's a high-end.
It's the high-end
you know,
model,
they're made here in the U.S.
Not
you
their
know.
LTD, their fucking ESP model.
Well,
I was just using that as an analogy, but
yeah, kind of like it, kind of, but better. But anyway, so we played all those, and we just made our way around the room, just grabbing guitars, we touched every guitar, dude.
Cool.
And then afterwards, then he was able to actually like shoot the shit with us, and we were talking. And on my NAMM pass, I actually put Dean Artist.
Oh, wow.
You know? So I show him the pass. I said, let's make this happen, man. And he said, all right, for sure, man. And he said, when the crazy, you know, because NAMM, I don't know if you've ever been, but it's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
You know, so there's not really no like, hey, you know, sign us as an artist kind of thing going on at NAMM. It's always like after the fact.
Sure.
And so afterwards, we're like, hey, man, we'd like this to happen, and it happened. You know,
what's that guy's name again?
Chris Canella.
Chris Canella.
Yeah, he's just joined a new band. Oh my God.
But he works for Dean.
Yeah. Hold on.
DSI for a little while too.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, he was a guitarist for DSI.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, he's in Malevolent Creation.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
the new guitarist for that band as well. You know.
Well, Chris Canella, if you are watching this interview, thank you very much for bringing these boys on over. But let me give you a little heads up. This man deserves a fucking signature guitar. Give him a signature guitar.
The Barragán bat.
The Barragán bat. New body style, everything. Let him design it, bring it out, put it in production, and get it out. And there's no other guitars more worthy of it, of it, especially with your discography and history in the metal scene. And I think people would eat it up. I know I would get one. And I'm not even a guitar player, but I'd still love to have one. Cool, man. Glad to see it. So, what is the name of the guitar that you? I called it a King V, but what is that? Just it's a King V.
It's a Vengeance.
They call it a Vengeance.
Vengeance, yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
got
cool.
a Vengeance. His models are actually, yeah, they're out.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah.
Does that make them more valuable, right?
So
It's like they're out of print. If something's out of print, that makes it more valuable.
I'm a very picky guitar player. Like I'm very set in what I like and what I don't.
Yeah.
And I was using another brand that's very much shredder oriented.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of research into finding specs that would match what I already had, like down to the woods and scale lengths and like pickup configurations. So I sought out one of the RC7s. I'm friends with the artist. His name's Rusty Cooley. And he spec'd out just a master guitar, like the next stupid thin and mega cutaways. It's if you shred, that's for you, you know. So I needed one of those, and then I found this other one. I think it's a Jackie Vincent model, but I mainly got it because it looks like a Steve Vai Universe instrument. So I got both of those, and I was like, man, these are pretty. You know, this is exactly what I need.
So Rusty's RC models are Dean, right?
Yeah, but he left Dean a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So then I think now in its place they have the Exile series. So that'd be the closest thing to what's there. Has
that like the low cutaway and everything.
Yeah, similarly spec, just different shaped neck.
Yeah, I remember. It's a 6-string though, not 7-string.
One's a 7, one's a 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I before Hellstar I was playing fan fret 8-string instruments and 7s. Wow. Too many strings for Hellstar.
Okay, let's move on. As we get near the end of this interview, once the record is released later this summer in a few weeks, what would you like to do to support the record?
Well, we have a festival in New York. I forget the name of the festival, but we're doing that at the end of July, and then we've got a show here in San Antonio with Crimson Glory coming up. Is that in August?
Is that?
I think they're both in August.
Oh, okay. Yeah. August.
Wow. Do you know where?
No. I don't know where, but we're playing with Crimson Glory. You'll find out. And then we have a show in El Paso with Watchtower.
Wow.
And
that would be cool.
So we got those little one-offs, and then we have a full 3-week tour in Europe.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I was like, if you're fucking signed to Massacre Records, they better be helping you get over there.
Yeah, you're going over there. We were talking to trying to get, because the rods are also on the same label, so we're trying to do maybe a little run with the rods maybe. But that's what we have coming up, and I'm not in writing cycle right now.
Right.
But he is. So I'm going to let him do his thing, and then I may start again. I'm working on the Santa Oscuridad third EP.
Right.
So that's almost completely mixed now. And it's already in the can, and I have the fourth one already kind of in the can. It's written, just got to finish recording that stuff too. So I'm still really busy with that band as well. And then I don't know. The guys in Wicked Angel said they want to come back and record too. So,
right.
And I mean that was very fun to do as well.
Pinche Wicked Angel.
Wicked Angel, bro.
Thank you for putting me on the guest list, Vatos Locos. Because you have such a long discography, and you play shows, and I'm sure you guys sit down and ponder the set list. How much of the new record will you play live?
There's going to be 4 songs.
Four songs.
Yeah,
what songs from the discography always have to be in the set list?
Oh, it's a core. It's Evil Reign.
Okay.
King is Dead.
Okay.
Baptized in Blood.
Okay.
Run with the Pack.
Yeah. Burning Star? No.
No. Sometimes we do Burning Star.
Okay.
And then. To Sleep or Chance to Scream.
For sure.
Always got to be in it. King of Hell.
King of Hell.
And well, this one's long. If we're headlining, we will do this one. If we're not, then it usually gets axed. Is Black Cathedral.
Okay.
And from This Wickedness, Fall of Dominion.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, there's already a chord there, and so and from Pandemonium.
Pandemonium. Oh yeah. And Glory of Chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You helped videotape that.
Yeah. Alan, you already know how to play all those songs?
Yes, I do, actually. So Larry gave me like an hour and a half worth of music, and
Oh, I thought you were going to say, he gave me an hour and a half to learn all these songs. It's like, fuck.
basically, man. Nah, he gave me like an hour and a half of music to learn. This was back in last summer, basically. So I just run it, every month just to make sure that I didn't forget all of it.
Right. All right.
I even have to do that.
Yeah.
For sure. And what about video work? Will there be any videos for the new record?
James says there is. We haven't decided what we're going to do. I think it's going to be Devil's Masquerade.
Oh, wow.
We're going to go for that. And,
you guys have to release a video.
Have to.
Have to.
But, yeah.
At least one.
It's going to be busy, bro.
Say, yeah.
We're going to be busy.
That's good, man. And as you should be. And, I know, I always keep reading, too, about bands saying, oh, it's so difficult to tour now. It's not cost effective anymore. Like, remember you messaged me about the band with John Bush, or the Generation 7?
Yeah.
Remember you asked me how I liked their record?
Yeah.
And then I remember they were going to go on tour, and then they canceled their tour because they said it just wasn't feasible for them to do it. And, I know how challenging, things can be with the market, but, I would, definitely, just be, and I'm saying this because I've been privy to the record, but this record deserves all the support you can give it,
Well,
and as long as you can, as long as you can.
Yeah, we're going to try. I mean, you're right. It's not easy. I've come home many time after a tour, and my wife's been like, "That's it."
Imelda says, "Where's that check, Larry? I'm not seeing any direct deposits."
You were gone for 3 weeks, and this is it. And I'm like, well, yeah, you had to pay for the gas, you had to pay for the van, you had to pay for the hotels, and you had to eat, and you had to, all the stuff that.
Yeah, las vatas locas.
Yeah, the fans don't get to see all that stuff. They just, the only thing they know is like the immediate, like, oh, I got to see them, I got to hear it,
Yeah.
And for me, I know I'm not going to get $1 million from this.
Right.
Is it the notoriety? No. I love playing, and I think with Alan as well. He loves playing.
Right.
So hopefully, at the end of the day, you get a couple of coins, and and that's okay. You make some merch money. We're like I think it's Gary Holt said. We're just traveling T-shirt salesmen, and so. That's kind of the way I look at it too. If the T-shirt looks good and they're buying it, and that's how you're supporting the band, because we all know what times we live in now, and it's not the '80s when there was huge budgets for the albums and all that stuff. Really, all the stuff that I do for Hellstar, for Santa Escuridad, for my projects is out of necessity, dude. I learned how to be, to record the albums and, engineer and mix out of necessity, because I didn't want to pay somebody money to do something that I could do,
Right.
And so slowly but surely I got to this point where I'm like, okay, now I have people going, like, for Wicked Angel, for example,
Sure.
like, hey man, we want to come and record with you. We want you to produce us. We want this. I'm like, okay, cool. This is where I'm at, I want to do this. And so, again, it's happening, but the initial thing was just out of necessity, like, let's cut out this middle guy, because I think I can do this part. And I don't know if you know this, but I shot, the video for Santa Escuridad. I shot almost all the videos, the performance videos. I've shot them on my camera, and I learned how to edit and all that stuff out of necessity, dude. It was just like, oh, we need a video, So, that's
download some software from somewhere.
Yeah, man. The Final Cut. And so that's how all that happens. It's not so much that, oh, I'm this, brilliant guy that knows how to do all this shit.
Yeah.
Like, no, we need to do this. I need to learn how to do it,
right,
so that we can have those things,
and stay in the black and not be in the red.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what I've seen with a lot of bands nowadays. Who just, you have to have a guy in your band who knows how to do video editing or social media marketing or something.
I think the bass player for Exodus, he actually is doing the recording.
Wow.
He's not mixing.
Yeah, Gibson.
They send that to Jack.
Yeah.
They send that to Andy, but he's doing the engineering. So there you go. That's how you cut out that guy.
Cut out the middleman.
Much to the middleman's chagrin.
Yeah. And I keep telling, like, a lot of these local producer guys who used to be big in San Antonio, like, 5-10 years ago, they're going out of business because all these bands are doing it themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going out of business. I remember one time I interviewed one of the hottest producers at a time here in San Antonio, and I remember I saw him like weeks later, months later. He says, "Rob, stop saying that I'm expensive on camera." I thought I was giving him a compliment because I would say, "Yeah, you're gonna pay a little bit more with this guy, but his work is great."
Yeah.
But you have to pay. It's not cheap. And he kind of got after me for that. You kind of alluded to this earlier, and I've kept telling you, like, "Oh my God, Larry, you're taking up on my interview." But I was gonna ask you, Hellstar has had a 40+ year career already.
Yeah.
43 years, I believe now. How long will you continue to write and play? Do you think? Do you feel?
Well,
we got the hologram ready.
Larry's making that too.
At first I used to think about it.
Yeah.
Like, man, I wonder how long this is gonna last. Like when we did the reunion,
Yeah.
I thought, maybe a couple of years,
Yeah.
and then a couple of years turned into, 4, and then it turned into more. And I just learned along the way that, it's it's almost like death. When it happens, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to put a timetable on it.
You'll know.
I'll know. And right now, I just don't see it in my future.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. I can tell you that when I don't get on the treadmill and I play a show, I feel it. It's like, oh man, I feel slow up here. Mm-hmm. But I'm an old man. I'm 61, so of course, you're going to start to slow down. But I feel very able still. I can still play the songs. And,
Mm-hmm.
There's some ailments that go along with some of the songs, but because there's so much picking and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as giving you a kind of a date or a timetable, I don't think about it.
Yeah.
And when there was a time my wife and my kids were like, "How long are you gonna do this?"
Yeah, hombre.
And I was like, "I don't know. We'll find out. We'll all find out at the same time.
Right, right.
And but I'm still very happy to do it. In some form or manner, I think I'll continue. If it's not with Hellstar, or if it's not with Santa Oscuridad or something else, I'll continue.
You'll continue.
And the whole producing and recording and all that stuff, that's just another facet, and I enjoy that part of it. So as long as I think that you have to be happy. You have to enjoy what you're doing. You have to enjoy the what you're listening to. I've never changed, man. I've been a metalhead since Black Sabbath, and so I don't know. Right now I could tell you that I can't see my life without that instrument those songs. You know, I enjoy the heaviness of it. You know, and I've never been I want to be a virtuoso. I want to play good. I'd like to play. You know, I wish I could play like Yngwie, but I don't want to be Yngwie. I'd rather be Gary Holt. You know, I mean, I love the heaviness of the music. You know, that's really what I love. You know, I mean, can I play some fast stuff? Yeah, you know, I'm okay. I'm better than some, worse than others. You know, I mean, but you know, as far as you know, just not having a love for heavy metal, I'm not there. Yeah. I don't think. I mean, I may not outgrow it. You know, that like they say, you know, you'll outgrow it. Like, no, I don't think so. You know, and I you know, I can almost imagine, you know, the deathbed going like, please put that Exodus song on before I go. You know, you know, Strike of the Beast. Yeah, something. You know, I mean, that's really. That's how I would love for it to end, you know, with something heavy playing in the background, you know, just transition that way.
You always hear like people say, yeah, I'm going to retire. And then they retire, and then I talk to them again like, oh, yeah, I'm working again, doing this and this and that. You know, it's like, you know, you don't want, I think subconsciously you say, yeah, I need to retire, I'm going to retire. And then next thing you know, the retirement doesn't seem so fulfilling anymore, and then they're doing something again, just to
well, I'm there.
Stay active.
Next July, I'm out
from your real job.
Yeah,
yeah, good.
I'm out.
I know we've been talking about that for a while.
And so I'm just like, let's tour. You know, let's do this. Let's record. Let's write some songs.
Now I'm free.
Let's practice. You know, the one thing that I can say that I miss from my youth is being able to practice
with everybody in the room.
No, I mean just being able to practice.
Okay,
that's rehearsal.
Oh, okay.
Being able to practice your instrument, your craft. You know that. I mean, you can. You could talk to any professional guitarist, and he's like, I just don't practice like I used to, you know. And I feel like that too. It's like I don't have the time to practice. Where I'd like to be able to like wake up, like in the old days, I would wake up, eat my breakfast, watch Young and the Restless, and start practicing. And I would practice till like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd eat lunch, and then the band would show up, and we would rehearse. And then they would leave. I would get stoned, and I would try to write, and they would leave, and you know, then I'd go to sleep, and it was like a 5 days a week thing, like a job. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the way I approached it. So my playing was, I think, at that point, you know, really good.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I think I was playing pretty good at that point. So I'd like to do that again, where I'd wake up, you know, and drink my coffee, watch the news, and you know, start, you know, practicing, and you know, just hit the metronome and go. And because that's one thing I really miss is the actual practice.
And two, I think one of the things that makes it so difficult is that it just seems like time's going by so fast. Like, you know, you wake up Monday morning and next thing you know, it's Thursday. And you're like, where the fuck did the week go?
Bro, por la bola, you're old, bro.
I know,
you know,
bro.
I mean, that's what's happening. You know, it's that the older you get, the shorter the time is just, you know, it's just, it's not expanding anymore. It's closing in on you, you know, and like for me, it's like, man, if I'm 60, I'll be 61 next month.
Wow.
And so I think like, man, I maybe got another 10, 12 years. You know, like I'm looking at 72 around the corner, you know. And so I'm like, man, I got to jam, you know.
Yeah, you got to like put it into a matter of record. You know, yeah, I feel you, man.
But you know what? I don't feel like I don't have anything to prove anymore.
No, hell
you know?
No.
I think I think my as far as Texas is concerned, I think I'm there.
Yeah,
you know?
of course. Yeah.
As far as the world, I mean, you know, we have some notoriety, and
of course,
We have fans around the world,
Sure.
and that you know, anyone who says like, "Oh, I don't care about that," man, you know, you do. I mean, it's nice to go somewhere and have someone go, "Larry," you know,
be recognized.
Shit, I'm in Germany and this guy knows me,
Yeah.
you know. So there's that. You know,
And someone who listens to your music,
yeah,
jams your records. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
that's gonna go on for
for long after you're gone.
long after I'm gone.
Long
I hope.
after you're fucking gone. Yeah, I feel you, man. You know, after dinner at 7:30, it's 8 o'clock, and I'm like, it's time for bed. Let's go to sleep already. I'm tired. Gotta stop that shit. But anyway, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, my brother Larry. What a wonderful and insightful interview. And before I let you go, I want to give each of you, let's start with Alan real quick, just to say any thank yous or show any love or shout outs to anybody.
I mean, shout out to my dad, of course. You know, there's this ongoing inside joke. Our friend Travis Wilser mentioned it earlier. Had an interview, and my dad taught him how to play some guitar back in the day, and he thanked one of our other mutual friends, and my dad gave him some shit for it. So also, I'm going to shout out Joel Gregoire.
Oh, wow. That's a name I have not heard in quite some time.
Of course. Nah, man. I mean, just all my folks, my friends, my family, all my bandmates. I'm in too many bands right now, and I'm glad. You know, couldn't be more thankful for that. You know, and thank you for having me, man. Thanks for the invite.
You're welcome, brother.
Awesome.
Nice to meet you, man.
Likewise.
Man, thanks to the fans. Thanks to you.
You're welcome, Larry. Welcome. We've had a long relationship, and we still have many more years ahead of us, my friend.
I hope so, man.
Many more years, many more light beers ahead of us. Okay. I'm looking forward to your next show. I'll find out about that Crimson Glory show. I definitely want to check that out.
Yeah.
Do those guys still wear the masks?
Yeah. They do. At the
Really?
end, I think it's at the end of the night, right? Yeah, at the end of the
The
night.
silver mask? Oh,
Yeah,
they don't.
They've adapted them now. They're new. They're all futuristic.
So they start without the mask, then at the end of the show they put the mask on?
Yeah.
Near the end of the set?
Yeah, it's kind of backwards, I think. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember those cats from back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say I was a crazy fan, but I remember those
They
cats.
definitely had a resurgence in
Yeah,
their career. Yeah, so
they're from
and
Florida?
Travis is actually a big part of that, I think.
Ah.
Yeah.
And he's a late addition, right? Into the band.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I gotta
Awesome.
I gotta do my little research on Travis, to get more in tune with his career and what's happening. But again, everyone out there, don't forget the brand new upcoming Hellstar release is called The Devil's Masquerade. Be sure to look for it right after you watch this interview. It may be out. And if not, you will find the release date on MASSACRE Records. Be sure to look for it. And Larry has already told me, and I was remiss not to ask, but yes, there will be hard copies available for all you old school people. Vinyl. And some vinyl. And I'm going to definitely order one of those vinyls so I can spin downstairs. Remember, everybody, you saw the band only right here on Rob's MetalWorks.